3.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Ron, K5EHL, with the JNRH Railroad in Abilene, Texas. We're going to have several sessions. They're going to cover building LED lighting, signal lighting for HO gauge model railroad. I'm going to start with a before and an after and an in between on how we got there. So starting with the before, this is a double track signal light set that's available from almost any craft store of railroad stuff. And that particular thing, I don't have the complete picture of it yet, but it's mounted on some towers and it goes over a double track. The before has artificial lights in it. This is the after. The after has LED lights. Now, to begin the story, these LED lights are a red and a green. They have a mounting that's in a plastic type chrome finish case. Whether these are still available or not, I do not know. These I bought at a surplus electronics shop many years ago. But this is what they look like. And the lead connections on them are very short. I don't know if the camera is going to be able to focus in, but these are the pins that come out that your wires have to go onto. And I use what's called wire wrap. Wire wrap is an old-time technology. You can solder these. You have to be very careful with heat dissipation into the LED because you can damage it. The wire wrap is a tool that's easy to use. It looks like this. There's a very tiny wire that goes into these. This particular spool of wire is from OK Industries. It's a 30 gauge. It's 100 feet. You use the tool in the manner to strip. Takes a little practice. And what you have then is the 30 gauge wire. The wire is inserted in the tool, and you then insert the conductor or whatever it is you want to wrap, and you just literally turn. The wire wraps around the pin. You have to practice with this, but that's called wire wrapping. When you get the initial lighting bar, you're going to have to drill some holes, and we have the holes drilled in this one. Uses about 1/4 inch drill. I suggest that you start with a small pilot hole. You can actually take your cutters, cut that off, and that will allow you to drill a pilot hole. You go to an intermediate size bit and you drill it out, and then you can go in with a bigger bit. I'm not going to drill these to show you, you'll have to practice, but on the plastic, most of these bits are going to grab that plastic and they're going to want to twist it around, so you have to hold on to it. You drill the hole size to match whatever this LED fitting size is. If you have a caliper tool, you can actually measure the LED housing, 6.24 mils, and go to your drill bit set and find one that fits there. Pretty straightforward. In most cases, you may have to file that hole out just a little bit. So you can use a simple round file. If you have any kind of file set, you probably have one. This is a round file, and that'll allow you to go in and wring that tool out. This is what the LED is going to look like when you finish putting your wires on. I use heat shrink tubing, and I slip it over the connector. This would be where we put the tubing over there. It keeps the wires from touching each other and being pushed around. Also adds some strength to them. Okay, now this LED housing is ready to mount. And if you notice, this one has the back housing. On the particular one I was working on, these came unglued. I suppose that they're supposed to stay glued in, but you can glue them back in. So we're going to take this one and we will mount that into the assembly. Now this particular one has the back plate, so let me feed this wire through to give you an idea. This is rather time consuming. The wires are small, so don't get in a hurry. And when you get it set properly, it'll fit right into that slot. Now, let me point this out. This is the before we started. You'll see the target back plate. They call these a target. And I use aluminum colored spray paint. I buy the cheapest I can at Walmart or wherever for $1 a can. It's silver, or it may be called aluminum. And I sprayed the grid work. You can paint this black or any color you want to. Doesn't really matter. But if you notice on the after one, the back plate of the target is black. And I did that with a Sharpie black pen. And you just simply color around on that back plate. Now a little extra feature on this one, and it may not be available to you, is this little round locking ring. It's used to secure snap-in mounting holders for little LEDs, 5mm LEDs. So you're probably not going to find this laying around. I happen to have a bunch of them. But don't throw anything away if you're in the amateur radio or model railroad business. Everything has potential value. But this one, I'm going to simply use a little adhesive and slip it on the target when I'm ready to mount it. And you can see, actually let me go to the one that's got the red light on. That's with it on, and that's with it off. And what it does, it simply covers up the chrome. And there's a little bit of chrome showing. If you want to get rid of that, you take your Sharpie and just go around it, and you should be able to get rid of all of that.
Let me zoom in on that real quick. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Now, we've mounted this particular one that's on with the red, and you can see a lot of the wires are back here. You can see the black heat shrink tubing on them. If you put this tubing on, you do not have to shrink it down. I recommend you don't shrink it down, but it allows you to move these wires around. It makes them less visible, and it also helps with stabilizing things a little bit as far as a wire getting torn loose accidentally. What we're going.
So you actually glued that target to the frame with hot glue?
No, you just use styrene glue for the target.
Okay, and then that affixes the LED also?
The LED is yeah. When you put the LED, just when you drill that hole, you stick it in there. You really don't have to do anything with it because there's just enough threads. The threads catch on the hole. It doesn't it
Oh,
won't
okay.
fall out.
So that's
It'll
why
pull
you use-
out. If you want to take it out, you can.
Okay.
But you can glue it, whichever.
No, I understand.
Now, the side mounts, the tower part of this, what we do, we have to find a way to get our wires down through the upper framework. So we drill a hole in the corner, and which corner you drill it in makes a difference. And you have to decide, well, I'm going to run these two signal lights for one track. You run them and you want to take them down that corner. These two signal lights you take down this corner. So we've drilled a hole. It's about a 1/8 inch. The size is determined by what you have to feed the wires through. We're currently going to use a stirrer. Unfortunately, it's red. I didn't have any black ones in the right size. They do make them in this size. These stirrers, you can pick them up at McDonald's or any place like that, and you can come up with your own stirrers. You can actually buy stirrers. These are cocktail stirrers. They're a little bigger, they're white. The best stirrers are the black ones. Then you don't have to paint them, but I'm using a red one. The way this works, we're going to, we fed all the wires down through the tube. The tube will fit right through the hole that we cut. We cut another hole the same size in the tower supports. There's the hole. It's easiest to drill in from the bottom. Use a small drill, pilot drill, and then enlarge it out. Again, this drill bit's going to grab and it's going to want to twist. And these are fairly fragile, so you can, I suppose, have one twist off. And when you get them matched up, the stirrer tube will go through that hole, so we can see that. And then you can affix, use styrene glue, or that's what I use, the styrene.
So it just looks like a piece of conduit.
It looks like a piece of conduit, and when we get through with it, it's going to probably get some aluminum silver spray paint on it, and it won't be red any longer. Then your wires will come out through the bottom, and from here you can add larger size wires, which will allow it to terminate at any point on your railroad outlet. So that's probably going to be a little more difficult if you don't have these type LEDs. But there are other LEDs that can be used, and I'm going to cover those in another section. So I'm working with what I have, and it may not be 100%, but when we get through with it, we'll get a picture of it in the final mounted on the track. And as you can see on this one, currently that's red, and I'm going to change colors of that. I have a little power feed, so this is what it will look like. I'll get that corrected. We're going to green now, so there's green. So I'm actually, it's a bi-colored LED is what it is. And we might just turn this light off, and that'll give you a little better representation of what it looks like. And here again, this is the little locking shroud. You put that over that chrome, and it really does make it look more, a lot more realistic. Okay, so we'll stop on this section, and then we're going to start another one, and we're going to talk about some different types of LEDs and where to get them at. Thank you much. This is Ron, K5EHL, signing off, 73.